What is the scenario?
I think it's what we make it, you know?
I wish that was true. Oh my God, I wish that was true. The scenario tends to be a combination of what life throws at you and then how you, I guess, deal with it. Or what you make of it.
Yes, you can make lemonade out of lemons, so to speak.
Yeah, or seep water into a dead laptop. You can do that too.
Yeah.
Update for longtime fans of the Just Enough Trope podcast. The beast is dead.
Yep.
Or is at least on life support.
Mm-hmm.
And environmental damage killed the beast.
Yes.
Or at least put it in a coma. The show laptop was a victim of a burst pipe in our place, and it's or over at the studio, I guess. And It's been a problem repeatedly, but it's never been a problem directly over the recording bay.
Right.
And so, so I got into the studio to do a little work and noticed standing water, around the laptop, and was like, oh, okay, well, bad news.
That's, the worst thing you could possibly come upon, I think, in the studio.
If you run a podcast network off a laptop.
Yeah.
The good news is, thanks to some money that we've got coming in, and thanks to the generous contributions of patrons on the Patreons for Just Enough Trope and enterprising individuals, we are able to afford new equipment for the show.
Yes.
And a new show laptop.
Yes.
Ironically purchased about 18 hours before this happened.
I know.
So it all works out.
Yes.
I'm not a believer in mysticism or fate or destiny necessarily, but sometimes things work out pretty good.
Yeah, this just happened to be one of those things. I mean, it would have been more perfect if the new laptop had already arrived, but it was already on order, so
yeah, that's why we're kind of doing it guerrilla today, because
yes.
We are lacking in equipment.
Yes.
But the show's still going to get out to you, the fans, the listeners, and this is a great, I think, object lesson example of what your contributions can do for the show, because we have contributors and patrons to Just Enough Trope and to enterprising individuals. We have funds in order to keep ourselves on the air and to repair damage like this.
Right.
So
that's why it's so important to...
I was just about to
okay, go
finish
ahead.
the pitch.
Yeah,
so.
you go.
But, I mean, no, I think you're about to say the same thing.
Yeah.
If you are interested in helping us and keeping us on the air, you can go to patreon.com/Just Enough Trope or patreon.com/enterprising individuals.
Right.
The enterprising individuals one, that's the Star Trek show, of course.
Yes.
Is a little more buffed out. So if you want to start there, that's fine. This summer, as we go through con season, we are planning on completely revolutionizing the patron side of Just Enough Trope and providing a lot of extra content for patrons and special shows. You'll have access to our backlog, our catalog of shows.
Right.
You can hear a young, squeaky-voiced Caliban and Mikan Hana talking about God knows what.
That's right.
And other pieces of material there. So, just check those out. And thanks if you've already contributed, because it's been a lot of help.
Yeah.
I said I didn't believe in mysticism or fate. Is karma the same thing as fate or mysticism?
I think it's a different beast. So well, I guess I think of karma kind of in a similar way. In the movie The Craft, for example.
Oh, my God.
They talk about how whatever you send out in the world comes back to you times 3. So that's kind of like a Wiccan
The power
belief.
of 3.
Right. But I do kind of feel like karma is somewhat similar. Whatever you send out in the world, it comes back to you. Although I do think that sometimes karma is a quote-unquote bitch and gives you something that you don't deserve. For instance, water on your laptop. I don't think that you deserve that, Cal. So...
you never know. My hair is falling out. Is that a problem, or...
What? What are you talking about?
From The Craft.
Oh, from The Craft.
I
see. I was
You can't
concerned.
hang. You can't hang. We got a craft poser over here.
Oh, stop it.
I guess that kind of makes sense, although I don't generally base my philosophical viewpoints around 90s fad movies starring
and
Robin
you know
Tunney.
what? You probably shouldn't.
Yeah, otherwise, this would just be end of days
Yeah.
all day long for me.
Right? Yes. I think it's probably a good philosophy to not base your personal philosophies off of 90s films because they're just ridiculous for the most part, aren't they? I mean, there are a few gems in there, I suppose, but...
Yeah, the 90s was weird, and we talk about that all the time on the show. Mm-hmm. I am personally embarrassed to have come out of the 90s. It's weird.
But I'm a child of the 90s as well, you know? Yeah. Like, you know, there was... it was a weird time. It was like, duh, Mom, it's the 90s.
Not.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of 90s, this is just a short plug for my other show.
Yes.
My other show. We were talking recently. Oh, stop it. We were talking recently on BackTrekking, my sort of pop culture Star Trek show, about this story called Pigs as Pigs, which is one of the inspirations for the classic Star Trek episode, The Trouble with Tribbles.
Okay.
And in it, a character who is kind of a folksy character, this thing is written around the turn of the last century.
Sure.
In the 1900s, is talking. He's sarcastic, and he reads this letter from his boss that tells him something he doesn't want to hear, and he's like, "Oh, sure, I absolutely agree, definitely not."
Really?
And I was like, "Whoa!"
I had no idea that had origins like that far back.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's Wayne S. Preston Esquire's world. It's so 90s.
Somebody read that and they're like, "I can adopt that."
Yeah. Mike Myers is just cruising through like old New Yorkers, like
right?
falling apart, and he's like, "I need comedy bits for this new thing." He's playing a kid on public access TV.
Yeah.
Nice work, Ellis Parker Butler. I remember the writer that story was. So anyway, so we're talking about Tribbles on BackTrekking. Check it out. Maybe that show's locked in the Coma laptop, so not sure that might have to re-record that one.
No, okay,
so we'll see.
All right, stay tuned.
Let's record the news.
Let's.
Ready? Flash. All right. So bad news. Although if you want to talk about karma, I think that this might apply. A Doctor Who guy and a writer has been fired from his post. And it's a little unclear. I haven't followed every single sort of step of this, but his name is Gareth Roberts, and he was fired basically from a Doctor Who compilation or like an anthology that was going to be published.
Yes, I think I heard about this.
Yeah, like a collection of stories.
Yeah.
In the past, he's been a screenwriter, so he's written Doctor Who episodes for the rebooted show.
Sure.
And if you ask what ones that he wrote,
right,
I am just going to snap.
Oh, okay. All bad,
no,
huh?
I'm just kidding. You can ask. It's just going to take me. I don't have a laptop with multiple windows,
right?
So I have to look it up on my phone.
But that's okay. I think we went over this off the air. Like it doesn't.
Yeah, but
seem
the
like
listeners don't know.
No, that's true.
He wrote, and none of them are good. Well,
yeah.
He wrote the Shakespeare Code. That one's okay.
Yeah, that one's good. I like that one.
I like the Shakespeare stuff more than the We're Witches or something like that.
Sure, yeah.
Isn't that the new Taika Waititi series, We're Witches?
I have
the
no
Unicorn
idea.
and the Wasp, garbage. The Lodger and Closing Time, those are the two with James Corden. What's worse than garbage? What's the garbage that garbage throws out? Zoom in on a trash can.
Yeah.
A bag of trash is carrying a bag of trash.
Yeah.
And throws it in a smaller garbage can.
Right.
And The Caretaker.
Which one is that one?
That's the one. Okay, at this point, are you with me on this? The Capaldi years are a complete blur.
Well,
I remember him riding a tank and wearing sunglasses.
Yeah, and
I
playing
remember
a guitar.
him being trapped in a mini TARDIS. Was that the one with the graffiti too? That one was okay.
Gosh, I don't know.
I remember him flipping off Robot Robin Hood, and that's about it.
I remember him being trapped in this like large mansion, and this was after like Clara had like died or whatever, and there was like a picture of her or something like that.
Yes, that was like Stephen Moffat going, all right, I guess I'll do one more good one, and then
yeah. So a couple of things. I'm notoriously bad with knowing and remembering titles for TV episodes. Yeah. And you're really good at it.
That's why you're a Friends fan.
What?
The one where Ross has sex with his monkey. The one where Joey goes to jail for rape. They're all called The One Where.
Great.
You didn't know that?
I did not realize
You're
that.
so bad with titles. You
I'm
didn't even know
that
that.
bad. I am
Wow.
that bad.
Commit to the bit.
Yeah. But I must agree with you though. The Capaldi years, it's all like a blur. I really don't remember that much at all. And I feel like Christopher Eccleston, David Tennant, and Matt Smith, like I feel like I remember them more. But I have to be honest with you, the 13th Doctor is a little bit of a blur as well. And I'm not completely caught up on that one. So I feel like kind of a bad Doctor Who fan.
Well, did we even get to the thing? So he made like homophobic tweets, basically.
Yes, right. And isn't he?
He's gay.
He's gay himself,
Yes.
but he made like transphobic, homophobic tweets.
Yes.
Which is just, okay. First of all, I don't understand why you would do that in the first place. And I know there's lots of people out there who have done this, and I just don't understand how you can, not treat other human beings with like the respect that they deserve. But then isn't it like extra like negative, like that you are gay, somebody who is gay yourself, and yet you are attacking other people who are also gay, or LGBTQ? Isn't that just like really, really horrible? Like you're not being supportive of other people within your community.
I think that we find all kinds of ways to justify our opinions about things. It's like if you love football and you love the Green Bay Packers, then shouldn't you love fans of the Minnesota Vikings or the Chicago Bears?
Yeah, I guess not. Right. They're terrible.
Right. So I think that's, I don't know. I think that's how you justify it.
Oh, you still find some people as the quote unquote other, that sort of thing.
I guess.
Yeah, I don't get it. I guess kudos for the Doctor Who team for letting him go, because it's just not cool.
Yeah. That's the right message to say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did we? Well, we didn't even. We're out of sorts. We didn't even talk about what we're talking about today.
Oh, you're right.
I'll put it in the title and the art so people know what it is. But we're talking about Dark Phoenix. But I think that it's sort of a spoiler of our review of such a forgettable film that we forgot to even announce it. So we're just speaking of committing to the bit. We're doing it.
Yep.
Speaking of committing to the bit, did you hear about Robert Downey Jr.?
I think you told me about this off the air.
He Tony Stark.
Yeah, I know.
I mean to mock him. I think that this is a great idea, but it'd be kind of like if Michael Keaton, somebody caught Michael Keaton on a rooftop, looking out over the city with a hat on,
right? And like he finds a criminal, and like, yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah. Robert Downey Jr. has launched a new venture to clean up the Earth and to counteract global warming. He was talking at Amazon's RE Mars. I don't even know if you say Re-Mars or if you say regarding Mars.
Weird.
But it's an artificial intelligence conference. And he announced a plan to, basically, it's an initiative for against climate change, to counteract climate change. It's called the Footprint Coalition.
Okay. I gotta say props to him. I mean, I hope he can pull this off. I think if you are a celebrity and you see that something isn't happening in the world and you want to make it change, then I think you creating a charity or some sort of thing to help push that forward, I think that's using your fame for good and trying to better the world.
And if you get Matt Damon on board, even better, right?
Oh boy, is Matt Damon on board?
Yeah, that guy's in everything.
Oh boy.
But yeah, so I think details are a little slim at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully this isn't vaporware or
I hope not.
Dioxide ware.
Right.
But the guy's got a lot of money.
Right.
And he's like when you think about it, I'm not saying that Elon Musk, complicated figure at this point.
Yes.
I just started watching National Geographic's Mars series.
Oh, how's that?
Interesting. I would call it like a docudrama or a docu-series.
Okay.
It tells the tale of the first manned trip to Mars. mission to Mars.
When was that?
Guess.
Sometime recently, in the last couple of years.
Mika's not a NASA nerd.
I guess I'm not.
We haven't been to Mars yet.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I guess I should have said the hypothetical.
I was like, I didn't know if we've been to Mars or not.
Don't you think you would have seen a tweet or something?
Okay, yeah, probably. But I'm just like, my sieve of like information. Sometimes things just pass by me, and I should be better about catching them.
The sift of information. I've heard Bill Gates use that term before.
Have you?
So anyway, it's set in like the 2030s, like 2033 or something like that.
Okay, so the not so distant future.
Yes, next Sunday AD. And so you've got a group of astronauts on a manned mission to Mars. Then we cut back to 2016 or 17.
Okay.
Well, we cut back to the present day, basically.
Sure.
And they interview Neil deGrasse Tyson, Elon Musk, like the different elements of the mission that we would need to accomplish.
Okay.
So the 2033 is like, it's optimistic, but it's like realistically, it's all hard science. Like realistically, we could be on Mars by 2033.
Oh, okay.
And then we talk to the people who are talking about like what we need to do to be there. So basically, it's just a Cosmos or a National Geographic miniseries about sending men to Mars. We've just added a bunch of actors who are not just reenacting, but are actually have dialogue and storylines about getting what they do on Mars.
Well, that sounds pretty interesting.
It's okay.
Just okay?
I don't remember when it was created, but it was long enough ago that talking to Elon Musk a whole bunch seemed like a good idea.
Okay.
And I started this because Elon Musk is like intelligent, but doesn't have his like doctorate in physics or anything like that, right? He's just a rich guy who is a futurist, we'll say, and has ideas about this, and then basically pays people to make it happen while he gets blazed with his rock star girlfriend and tweets stupid things.
Uh-huh.
Well, Robert Downey Jr. can do that. He'll just be doing yoga poses. He'll be downward dogging and giving young kids with no limbs like Iron Man arms and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
So it's an even better public face.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
I'm excited about this.
Yeah, I'm excited about this too, and like hopefully there'll be an opportunity for people
us to not die.
For people to other normal everyday people to contribute to this new organization.
I agree.
Yeah.
Hey, the Uncharted movie now has a release date.
Oh boy, what is it?
You knew there was an Uncharted movie, right?
I think we talked about this before.
Yes.
It's a very cinematic video game, so it does not surprise me.
Naughty Dog was like, how do we get some of those Hollywood adaptation dollars? Let's just create a game.
Right.
The protagonist will be based on this guy that nobody knows called Nathan Fillion. I don't know if that's true, but it's very similar.
Nathan Drake, right?
Yeah. And then that one voice actor guy whose name escapes me now.
Oh, yeah, but he does like everything.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He'll be doing it. And so this was kicked around Hollywood for a while. It was connected to David O. Russell for a long time, unfortunately. That guy, speaking of jackasses.
Yeah.
And then Mark Wahlberg was attached to star.
Okay.
Speaking of jackasses. And so, whatever. I mean, just make the movie, right?
Right.
Well, that's all fallen apart again and again and again. But it's finally set now. I think we're in pre-production. We're ready to go. And it's going to be about Nathan Drake, of course.
Right.
Who will be played by Tom Holland.
Really?
So
we're going super young.
Nolan North is the voice actor's name.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah. So this will be based on the prologue of number 3, where he's a kid.
I guess.
You get to see him as a little kid. he steals a ring from a museum.
Right? Oh, my goodness.
Tom Holland?
Okay. That's
Here's
not
who we're
who I
thinking for this
pictured.
role. We're thinking about a couple actors here.
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg.
Yes.
Okay. Nathan Fillion.
Right.
Tom Holland.
It doesn't match.
No.
One of these things is not like the other.
No. And when you have a young-looking guy, then the love interest has to be young.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Everything's aged down.
So who's that even going to be?
I don't know.
Maisie Williams.
One of the Dakota sisters.
One of the Dakota sisters.
One of the Fanning sisters, sorry. Dakota Fanning and whatever her sister's name is.
There you go.
Yeah. I don't know.
Uncharted preschool. And then
well, it's a lot.
There's a mini game where you have to color the lamb inside of the lines.
Oh my goodness.
Don't.
Yeah.
You die.
It's a
tough
lot.
preschool.
It's a lot like Indiana Jones. Like he's kind of.
It's Indiana Jones.
It is Indiana
I like how you
Jones.
say it's a lot like Indiana Jones. It's Indiana Jones.
It is. So this will just be a young Indy, so to speak.
Well, it's certainly counter-programming.
Yeah.
Since Indiana Jones 5 is started shooting and Harrison Ford is doing it again.
And he said something along the lines like he's going to do it till he dies or doesn't want to do it anymore. And then he doesn't think anybody else should play the role.
Get the F out of my house.
Yeah. I know.
We're at, this is a news studio?
Yeah, I know,
right? December 18th is the release date.
Oh. For this year or for next year?
2020. Sorry, 2020.
Okay, next year. That makes sense.
Yes. Google. Google is in the news, everyone.
Whoa, boy.
Did you know that Google is in the news? Google has announced that their Stadia game service is coming in November.
Oh, what does this entail?
I'll tell you what it entails. What it entails. They describe it as the Netflix of games.
Okay, so do you
for $10,
pay like a fee up front and then you get to play whatever you want?
Well, good question. It's either a $10 a month service or it is a you can buy in right now for $130. That gets you 3 months of service, premium service. I'm not sure what the premium is yet. Just
right.
Yet. And then I suppose you'd have to pay $10 a month afterwards. And I think you get a joystick for it. You can use your own joystick, but they have a special Stadia joystick because it has certain features.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's what's going on right now. Here are some of the games that they have lined up. Or at least I should say the publishers. A lot of them. Electronic Arts, Deep Silver, Bethesda, SNK, Square Enix, Rockstar, 2K, Warner Brothers, THQ, Ubisoft. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is the sort of poster child game for this.
All right.
So that's what they've been using in the promotional material.
Mm-hmm.
It is. We'll learn a lot more at E3.
Yeah, that's coming up, right?
Yep. And so, but what we know now is that essentially it is an online service.
Okay.
But you could do things like. So I watched a little bit of the keynote, and so I'll just give you like my version of the keynote. There will be a lot of integrated sort of functions to this. It won't just be because PlayStation, for instance, has PS Now, which allows you to stream titles either on your PC or on a console. Mm-hmm. This will also be a PC or console thing, but it'll also be an in-browser thing. So if you are cruising along in your Chrome browser and you go, I want to play some games, you can go to Assassin's Creed and then click that, and it'll start playing in your browser.
Oh, okay.
And depending, I think, on your save games or whatever, if you do this a lot, you can just sort of pause the game and just pick up from where you left off.
Oh, that's good.
A lot of those functions will be on the controller. You can share gameplay, so you can basically like record and like stream, I think, while you're playing. You can also, and this is interesting, you can share parts of a game. So say you are, I'm going to run and jump off of this thing and grab this thing and do that. You can like save and cut out like that literal part of the game and share it with somebody.
Okay.
So whether or not they own the game, they can play that little section of the game if they also have Stadia.
All right.
Or not? Because if you have Stadia, then you have access to the game.
I would think so.
Yeah, I'm a little fuzzy on that. But anyway, it's not just a on-tap streaming service. It's also, they are integrating all kinds of, the PC and computer aspects, and they're really big on the sharing aspects as well, of course.
Okay. Well, I think this has the potential to be something really big.
This has the potential to basically kill dead GameStop, Steam, Epic Games.
Yeah.
There is no loyalty in the video game universe. You think that some publishers would be like, we got a pretty good thing going with our digital distribution? I know this is Google. It's like the 8,000-pound gorilla, but everybody's like, oh, we're doing this.
Yeah, I know. Like,
and then like
you listed
GameStop
a lot
CEO
of publishers
on Suicide Watch.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. Actually, I think they just got a new CEO again. So.
Oh, boy.
It'll also be playable on phones. So if you've got, like, say, a Google Pixel 3, you can just go click, flip the phone to the side, bam, you're playing.
Oh, that's fun.
Game.
Yeah.
This might make a gamer out of you.
Oh boy.
We might do it.
So
Let's
bad
get
at the
down to
controls.
business.
Yeah. All right.
So we'll see. Looking forward to that. Here's some news.
Yeah.
Entertainment Weekly
Yes.
is becoming Entertainment Monthly.
Okay, so then they're cutting back their publishing to just 1 a month instead of 4.
That's right.
Probably a wise move, don't you think?
Because Print's dead?
Yes.
Well, if you're Entertainment Weekly,
Yeah.
what if you just do a KFC and you're like EW, and what's it stand for?
Right.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
EW.
Right. Because now you're changing your brand as well as how often it comes out.
Yes, it will. Starting August, it will come out monthly. They will also do, some special issues sometimes.
Okay, that
if
makes
Prince
sense.
dies again, they'll do something
Right.
like that.
Right. Oh boy.
Yeah, the last current Entertainment Weekly will be July 5th.
Okay.
I should mention, I think there's a new issue now, so it might be too late, but you can still check it out. The most recent issue of Entertainment Weekly was commemorating the 50th anniversary of Stonewall. And
Oh, wow.
so
Well, that's
there
cool.
Yeah, so there were 6 different covers
Okay.
featuring LGBTQ entertainers like... Actually, I'll just say them all. Actually, I'm going to miss one because I know Anderson Cooper, entertainer, I don't know.
Well.
Wilson Cruz from Star Trek Discovery.
Okay.
Melissa Etheridge, Ruby Rose, somebody else.
Okay.
Nope, lost it. Somebody else, and then somebody else. 2 other people.
So 2 other people.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, they're really neat. There's also the feature in the issue was like a 6-way roundtable with them.
Oh, that's
about
cool.
their experiences, yeah, and about what Stonewall means and stuff like that. So it's a nice little starter for Pride Month.
Yeah, that's really
Run
cool.
out and get that.
Yeah.
I've told my Wilson Cruz story on the program, right?
You probably have, but I don't know. I can't remember exactly. If you want to retell it.
I don't want to belabor it.
Oh,
but-
okay.
So long story short, my cousin is a friend of his.
Yes.
Connected me with him for an interview for my Star Trek show. This was all like 3 days before the episode of Star Trek Discovery that really sort of changed the game for his character.
Yes.
No spoilers, but was a big deal. Turned into him like being interviewed on Today's Show and Good Morning America and stuff. And,
Right.
Yeah. We'll never get that guy again.
He's really busy.
That guy's gone.
Yeah.
He's out of our reach.
Right.
But anyway, much luck to him. Very talented.
Yes.
Very good looking. More video game news. Baldur's Gate 3 has been announced.
I saw something I saw somebody posted about this.
The Baldur's Gate
I'm surprised.
series is a storied series.
Yes.
Not the first bringing of Dungeons and Dragons and their world and system to
No, but
computers,
memorable.
but one of the strongest. Yeah.
Yeah.
And intergenerational too, because it was out when I was the right age for it. I used to work at a private high school, and so spent a lot of time with some nerdy kids. And they were like, yeah, so I was playing like Icewind Dale, and I was like, if you set up the delay blast fireballs, I'm like, what are you kids talking about?
Right.
You have like cyber brains and stuff like that. Why are
Right.
you guys playing like these old pre-Windows 95 D&D games? But they've stuck around. And they've
Because
definitely
they're
stuck
fun to
around.
play.
Yeah, they've definitely stuck around now thanks to services like Good Old Games, who have make them available. Also, there's been a couple Baldur's Gate like redos and reboots, remasters, Planescape remaster, and so yeah, these old games are sticking in people's heads. I don't. It's
Yeah.
not just a nostalgia thing. I think it's nobody's playing Demon Stone anymore. Like they did it right back then, and so they want to kind of redo that.
Right.
Here's the funny thing, though. It's being developed by the company that Larian Studios, the company that did Divinity: Original Sin 1
Okay.
and 2.
I don't know what that means.
Those are games that are original properties, but are very similar and evoke the feeling of the old Baldur's Gate games.
Oh, okay.
And so when the Baldur's Gate license holder, which I assume is Wizards of the Coast still, wanted to revive the franchise, they went, you do it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Right?
Sure.
It's sort of like, okay, so is this going to be Hagar Halen? Is this Van Hagar? Or
Right.
is this David Lee Roth?
Right. You want to...
No, better example. This is the Filipino guy who sang Journey songs really good on the internet, and then Journey's like, well, we want to get the band back together. Filipino guy, you're in. That's what
Right?
this is. This is New
Right.
Journey.
Okay. All right. I can see that. Well, hopefully it'll be good.
Have you heard that Journey guy?
I have
He's
not.
amazing.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Steve Perry who?
Wow.
You can't believe you're not a Journey fan.
I am a Journey fan. I love Journey.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do. I have a lot of very fond memories from college about Journey. I think that's the first time I really heard
All right.
Journey.
All right. Let's keep it PG.
It is PG. My roommate, like,
Oh,
we went to like the student union, and there was a jukebox there, and it was free, and my roommate programmed every single Journey song into the jukebox.
Oh, you were those kids.
And the guy who was like the manager of the student union, like, looked at us with like, no, you did not. And like, he was not happy that we were playing all the Journey songs in a row. And the next time we came to the student union, that CD was not in there.
Oh.
We journeyed him out.
Yeah, the journey was over. Did I ever
Yes.
tell you about the time that I went to a bar and we put a $20 bill in the jukebox and we set it to play "It's Not Unusual" by Tom Jones 47 times? And then
Oh
we
my
left.
goodness. Oh my
We
goodness.
just left.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, we'll see what happens with that in the future. Looking forward to it. Here's some bad news. The Swamp Thing has been canceled by DC Universe
I heard about this.
after one episode.
Yeah, that's super bad. So, but
McHolland? I'm just doing a Swamp Thing super bad mashup.
oh, okay, I see. What, just why? And are they airing the other episodes, like, ever?
Yes.
Okay.
There's no point because they need content and it doesn't cost them anything. It's their service. They will be airing the rest of the episodes. We reported a couple weeks ago, maybe a month or two ago, that they had cut the original order of episodes.
Yes.
Showing no confidence really in the show.
Right.
And they waited for the first episode to come out because you don't cancel it before it comes out.
Right.
So yeah, the second they released the first episode, they're like, don't look for any more of these.
I know, which is, like, it's kind of bad. I don't know. Like, I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I haven't seen the pilot yet. And I want to. I want to see it, but
Apparently it's really gross.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a lot of body horror, which
Oh.
I think fits for
I mean,
Swamp Thing.
I saw the trailer for it, and I guess I could see how that would be a thing. Because it's like there's some sort of like medical epidemic or something like that.
Well,
And they don't know why it's happening.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyways.
Done.
Done.
With that.
Done.
Journey's over.
Done with that.
Do you want some post Endgame Phase 4 possible spoilers?
Sure.
So, outlet that hashtag show at thathashtagshow.com has a source. The source is supposedly reliable. It was right about a couple things previously, like, I guess spoilers for Endgame.
Yeah.
For this segment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Skip ahead 5 minutes if you don't want to hear anything about anything ever. They spoiled that Thor was going to get fat and that James Darcy was going to be in Endgame. And so this information comes from that person. Now, we know that Shang-Chi is a movie that's coming up, and we know that The Eternals is a movie that's coming up.
Yes.
But otherwise, we don't know. We can assume fairly that there will be new Guardians of the Galaxies, new things like that. But otherwise, we don't know. But apparently, Doctor Strange 2 will involve a time travel trip to the 1980s.
Okay.
And Tilda Swinton will reappear as the Ancient One.
Well, I mean, that only makes sense.
Traveling back in time, yeah.
Right. Okay. That sounds cool to me.
Yes.
Hopefully it'll be better than the first one.
And it will supposedly feature the Doctor Strange character Clea.
Who is that?
Clea is the princess of the Dark Dimension. She is Dormammu's daughter, I think.
Okay.
She related to Dormammu somehow.
So she's a villain.
She is like a villain turned good, basically.
Okay.
She's like Doctor Strange's girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
And the gloves will be back.
The gloves will be back?
That's what they're saying.
Okay. What does that mean?
His gloves, the yellow gloves.
Oh, the yellow gloves?
Yeah. Well, the orangish yellow gloves.
Did he not have them in the original? No, he hasn't had them.
He had them a little bit. Wait, when did he have them? I think he had them in the Ragnarok scenes.
Oh, really?
That he was in, but I don't think they were in the movie, and they weren't in Endgame or before Endgame.
Okay, is this
Avengers before Endgame?
But is this part of his usual costume?
Yeah, dude.
Okay, all right.
Not a Ditko fan either. Interesting.
I didn't say that.
Interesting. Some plot hints for Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah.
Seems like we will focus on Rocket, which I think makes sense at this point.
Well,
I think we were talking before. It's like we've gone. Peter's out of parents now.
Right.
We've had a movie about each one of his parents.
Right.
All three of them. And it seems like we keep sort of dipping our toe or our little claw into like Rocket's sort of character and story. And so it's theorized that 3 will be a full look into Rocket.
Well, we don't really know that much about his background. We just know that he's somehow genetically mutated. And he's not technically a raccoon, I think, is what we know.
Something like that?
Yeah. So I think that'd be interesting. I definitely want to see a movie with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So presumably we'll go to Half-World, we'll meet Lila, his love interest, and it'll all involve the High Evolutionary. A character who, well, we'll get to that when we talk about the X-Men later, but is a character who is fairly important in Marvel, fairly powerful, but just never had the clout of a Kang or a Doctor Doom or something, and so, but he is very influential and necessary to the Marvel Universe.
Okay.
And apparently Spider-Man 3, that is Spider-Man post Far From Home,
right?
Maybe a little closer to home, will feature Venom.
Oh. Will it be starring...
Sony, you make the Spider-Man movies and you suck at it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Wouldn't that be cool, though?
That would be really cool.
Now, Tom
Holland...
Holland...
They should make that happen.
As we've discussed previously, Forever 14, Tom Hardy... is who knows how old he is, but significantly older.
Yes, but I think that'd be really cool to have him as Venom in there with Spider-Man. I'd watch that. I'd definitely watch that.
Has Sony not learned any lessons? Let's do Venom in the third one.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that they have learned any lessons.
This just seems like history repeating itself, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy that Marvel is helping with the Spider-Man movies, but maybe they should be helping more because Sony is just...
I don't think they're helping that much.
You don't think they are? Okay.
Well, supposedly, I think it would be weird for if maybe Marvel does have control, because I think it would be weird for Marvel to basically introduce, or depending on how you look at it, double down on the idea of a Marvel multiverse in a Sony movie.
Right.
But Mysterio could just be full of shit. He could just be lying about everything. We don't really know.
And I think that's probably a large part of his character because
his whole thing is like illusions.
Well,
so he can show you anything he wants to show you.
He doesn't look like a quote unquote bad guy in the trailers.
No, he's Jakey Jake.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see the heel turn with that. So.
And supposedly David Morrissey is in contention for some roles. I don't know how to do multiple roles, but some role in Phase 4. Who's David Morrissey?
Okay.
Just look it up. He's a kind of Hugh Grant, older British actor looking guy.
Okay. All right.
He was in Basic Instinct 2.
He
played the Doctor once in one of those 4 specials, the David Tennant I Don't Want to Go year.
Yeah.
He was the one where he was in the Victorian times and he had a balloon and he thought he was the Doctor.
Oh, gosh.
They were teasing who the new Doctor was going to be.
Yeah. I don't actually remember his face, though. I vaguely remember that episode.
I haven't grown accustomed to his face.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what it looks like.
Do you have any idea or prediction as to who he might be up for?
Probably we got to get this Eternals thing cast, right?
Yeah, you're right. Probably somebody in there.
Yeah, so maybe a Lars, aka Mentor.
Okay. I know next to nothing about the Eternals except I know that Thanos is technically an Eternal.
He is an Eternal.
That is about all I know.
He is the son of a Lars.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. All right.
As the Red Skull tells us. in Avengers, the one before him.
That's right. He always says, Thanos, son of, X. And like when Hawkeye and Black Widow come, he says their father's names or whatever, and Natasha says something offhand like, I don't even know my father's name.
She's like, well, I got something out of this.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna die.
So the spoilers for Endgame continue.
Yeah, okay.
Well, here's a spoiler for the rest of your life. Marvel wants Keanu Reeves to be in that Avengers film.
What Avengers film?
Sorry, the Eternals film.
Oh, the Eternals film.
They're all Avengers films now.
Yeah. Okay, who do you think he would play?
Good question.
Yeah.
If you have Thanos, the
Yes.
embodiment of, and I know, don't at me, but all that's evil, or at least selfish in the world.
Right.
What sad boy in a motorcycle helmet eating a sandwich
Yes.
would be the perfect polar opposite?
Right.
The yang to that yin. Mm-hmm. Keanu Reeves.
Yes.
And so I think he's going to play Thanos' brother, Star Fox.
Oh, okay. All right.
Do a barrel roll. Not that Star Fox. In fact, they might have they're Marvel, but they might have a trademark problem with that. So
Oh, okay.
call him Eros instead.
Yeah.
And then that's how you get around. Can you ever see Keanu Reeves roofing anybody?
No.
That's how you get around the gross implications of his roofie power. You just give those powers to Keanu Reeves, and he's just like making you feel better when you have a bad day, or
Right.
actually his powers in general are just
put a
kind
spin on it. Are kind of bad.
Yeah.
Problematic.
don't make me feel things I don't want to feel.
Don't you dare close your eyes.
Don't you dare close your eyes. That's what it'll be.
Oh, boy.
So, excited about that. We'll see. Guess what? Magic the Gathering is going to be an anime show at Netflix, because those have been great so far. Every single one of them is fantastic. Oh, shut up. You like them. And
I'm not saying I like them. I'm not saying I don't like them.
and the Russo brothers will be in charge.
Well, that's a
They've
good
got
thing.
free time now. That Deadly Class has been canceled.
Has it really?
Yes.
You're kidding.
Yes.
Oh, that's such a bummer.
Whoa, that was the bad news. I guess that was the real story.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I mean, I've only seen the pilot, but I would like to watch the rest of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Why? It's because sci-fi
Sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to imagine the ratings probably weren't great.
All right. Well, that's too bad.
Well, we'll see. The Russo brothers, if they haven't completely moved on, are, pretty big right now in Hollywood.
Yeah, they are.
I think it'd be very easy for them to, hey, Netflix, tell you what, we're doing this we're doing this show based on trading cards. Think we can see what we can do with the Deadly Class?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. Use it for leverage.
Yeah. Everyone to hear the F word in Daily Class?
Right.
Or Deadly Class?
Yes.
They don't have class every day. Or maybe they do. One more story before we move on. A lot of news has been made recently, and I think we've talked about this in the show, but maybe not, that Tom King has been... Well, nobody knows. Tom King has left or is leaving Batman.
Remind me who Tom King is.
He is a writer for DC. And did you know he used to be in the CIA? Did you know he used to be in the CIA? Hey, Tom King used to be in the CIA. The CIA used to employ Tom King.
Okay.
That's all you ever hear about when you hear about Tom King.
Okay.
But the other side of that coin is that he's a pretty good writer. He wrote the Mr. Miracle series that we reviewed on the show.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And so he's been doing Batman since the relaunch. Since issue 1 a couple years ago. They're in the 70s now, I think.
Okay.
This included the Batman Catwoman wedding storyline and other stuff. And it was theorized that he was going to go 100 issues.
Okay. So what happened?
Well, nobody really knows. And this was a thing that was going back and forth for a while. People think that DC was dissatisfied with his work, that some of the fans didn't like what he was doing, and so they were going to sort of shuffle him off the book. And he was, he's used to work for the CIA, so he can keep a secret. So he was sort of circumspect about it. And was like, well, I'm enjoying my time. I can't wait to look forward to doing other stuff or whatever. Well, it was just announced that he's going to co-write the New Gods film with Ava DuVernay.
Oh, okay. I guess that could be good.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Underselling.
I guess.
But this reminds me of the Jeff Johns thing, where it's like Jeff Johns steps down as like head of creative, and then he's immediately like writing more TV shows and movies.
Right.
So
right.
it's like maybe it was just a situation where let's get you totally focused on what we need you to do.
Right.
And so Tom King, whether or not the sales are good, whether or not people like you, it's clear that you have a great handle on this stuff. Eisner Award's coming out the ass for Mr. Miracle. Why don't we just take you and just make you focus you on the films? Because our empire is crumbling.
Yes.
Like we need these movies to work.
Right.
And Ava DuVernay is a great director, but
is she
did you
a writer?
see Wrinkle in Time?
Yeah.
So like let's get you on there. Let's set you up. Let's get a good New Gods film, because New Gods is going to be our competition for Eternals, basically.
Right.
So we need this to work.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense. All right. Well, I guess he's moving on to greener pastures, so to put it.
To greener pastures.
Yeah.
I don't have a pun for that.
Okay.
There is green.
Yeah.
Some of their costumes have. Allfather's costume is green, doesn't it?
I don't know.
New Genesis is green.
Sure. Okay.
While Apocalypse is just fire.
Right.
Not like, woo, fire, hands up emoji. I mean, like, on fire.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Not good.
No, not good at all.
Any interest in this at all?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm interested to see what they do for the New Gods film. That's, I guess, all I have to say about that. How about you?
No, you're not done.
Oh, I'm not?
You just said you were interested.
I'm interested to see what they do. I really don't have that much context for New Gods.
You know Mr. Miracle.
I do know Mr. Miracle, and that's about it.
You know Big Barda.
Yeah, and Big Barda. Yep.
You know Oberon.
Yeah. Well, okay, so he has experience writing these characters, so then they're like, you write them for the movie.
That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Wow, nothing.
I don't really have anything else to add.
Apocalypse. Dark Side. Desaad. Granny Goodness. Calabac.
Yeah, it should be good.
The Furies.
I remember a lot of the characters from the cartoon series.
Light Ray?
I have no idea who that is.
Previously on X-Men.
The X-Men find one of their own is one of their enemies.
Yes.
Or something. And their enemy is Simon Kinberg.
Whoa!
Somebody's got to just put his head on like a deep fake or something like that. And he's like floating down. He's like, I will destroy the X-Men universe.
Yes.
My work is complete.
I know, right?
What's the name of that bird that dies in fire and then stays dead and nothing happens?
I think any other bird besides the phoenix.
I think it's a dark phoenix. I think that's what it does. We're here to talk about the new and last X-Men, well, we're presuming X-Men Fox film Dark Phoenix.
Yes.
Starring Sophie Tucker. No, I always get that wrong.
Sophie
Turner. And Ty Sherry
yeah.
All the people.
James McAvoy, Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah, the slice, switch, flip, switch, Jimmy Smits, spin, splat.
Sure. Yeah. I have no idea what you're doing.
What does he? He plays 15 different characters. He's the Beast. Split.
What? Split?
Shama
What?
Split.
I don't know what you're doing. I don't know who Split is.
I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate that. But wouldn't a yes and require you to just go, oh, Split. Loving that Split. You know what else I like? Cleave. Cleave's pretty good too.
All right.
And I like Divide. I like M. Night Shyamalan released a stealth sequel to Unbreakable called Split, in which James McAvoy is a serial killer or something.
Who has
but he's
multiple
got multiple personalities. One of those personalities has superpowers.
Right.
Not a terrible idea.
No. just not a great idea.
Well, let's make glass and ruin the whole thing.
Yeah, I know, right?
M. Night Shyamalan is his own Simon Kinberg.
Oh my goodness!
Written and directed by Simon Kinberg. This film, longtime producer of the X-Men movies, along with Avi Arad and all the other people that I guess made it good and held all his bad impulses
I
back.
guess, yeah.
How do we feel about this movie? No, what happens in X-Men Dark Phoenix. So dark.
So we start with like a flashback of
Oh boy, here we go.
Okay, of Jean Grey when she's a little girl and she non-intentionally causes a car accident in which she understands both her parents die. And then
but keep up, boo boo. We're in the spoiler-free time. So this is what I want from you. Just give me the envelope pitch. Go. Back of the book blurb.
Okay. The X-Men go to help save some astronauts in outer space.
No, you're literally just, once again, I'll do it. This is what it sounds like. Check this out, right? When Jean Grey finds herself much more powerful than before, she has to fight the temptation to use that power while the X-Men race to save her very life and the planet. Dark Phoenix.
Okay.
It's called an elevator pitch.
Sure.
It's actually shorter than an elevator pitch. You're like, then they're at a party, and at the party, they drink pink lemonade, but it's implied that it's booze. But why would there be booze at a kid's school? In fact, literally, okay, a lot of this is going to be us talking about how this movie not only has nothing to do with the previous movies, but literally, like, rejects and changes it. You know, Logan in X2 is like, you guys got any beer? And Iceman's like, yeah, this is a school. So
right.
How about a sody pop?
Right.
So anyway, what'd you think about Dark Phoenix?
I was pretty underwhelmed.
Dark Phoenix, smoke, no fire.
Right. I mean, I think they had a lot of maybe the emotional beats kind of there, but like it didn't necessarily like the plot didn't necessarily have the characters shine as much as they should. Like it wasn't. I wouldn't call it like a character driven like film. And
yeah.
Well, it's just like there are things that happen within the film that's like, well, now we need this to happen, so it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And a
lot of lazily choreographed fights.
Yeah.
I mean, every action movie is just beads on a string, and the beads are set pieces, right? But when you think about some of the great set pieces and fights that we've had, the Claremont-esque sort of fights in the early X-Men movies, don't really want to call them the Singer films anymore, but I don't know what to call them.
Right.
Let's just say the earlier 2000s X-Men films. Like, yeah, this is just, what do you think's going to happen here? Mm-hmm. What do you think happens to a Phoenix?
Well,
now, how do we slow this thing down?
Right.
So it's not over in like 2 minutes.
Right.
And so we'll have people just kind of knock around and fight generic other bad guys. No guy who throws bones from his arms in this one, but there are some wildly generic sort of characters.
Yes.
There is just lady with a shaved head who is a telepath.
Yep. And she uses knives.
Yep. And then there is guy with dreads.
Oh my goodness.
Can we talk about guy with dreads?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like one of Magneto's friends is Magneto has his own
compound.
It's sort of
like
Genosha. It's sort of Genosha, only Genosha is like, an island nation of like, 4 million people.
Right.
This is basically just like a river in the like Puget or an island in the Puget Sound or something like that.
Right.
Where he's set up like a hippie commune, and we're led to understand that this is a commune of mutants.
Yes.
Much like Charles has his Xavier School.
Yeah.
This is like Magneto's, chill out, fun time vibe like camp.
Right.
But you make somebody blue or something, since none of them do anything except for Dread Guy, we don't ever see their powers.
No.
There's a part where there are people come and they don't want them to be there, but nobody does anything, and maybe it's because they're pacifists.
Right.
But you just see there's one guy who has like bull horns. He's got like Tim Curry.
Oh gosh, I didn't even notice that.
Tim Curry demon horns.
Right.
But there's no, like, make a guy blue or do that thing where the X-Men films have always been very unimaginative. You've got this wonderful history of the X-Men and their powers and the varied characters and looks and stuff. And whenever they have to make somebody up, like when they make up their version of Leech, basically, is Leech in the comics is he pink or green? Which one's Artie? Which one's Leech?
I don't know.
Let's say he's pink.
Okay.
Pink, and he's got like these bulbs on his head, and he's all cool looking. Their kid is just like a kid who looks like a leukemia kid. He's just like a little kid with no hair.
Oh.
Or like when they've got like, let's pan across the kids. There's like a kid with like sort of veiny lines on his face.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Wow, neat.
Right. We have no idea what his powers
Or
are.
like, what's this kid's power? He's got a forked tongue, and he will stick it out at the perfect time to accentuate. It's like a great moment, but that's his mutant power? Why doesn't he just go to regular school and like keep his mouth shut?
Right.
So they've never been very imaginative, and this is like really just the emblematic of their lack of imaginativeness. You've got a guy with dreadlocks, black guy.
Yep.
Or, I mean, he's not white. Let's just say that.
Right.
I don't want to assume his race. But he's got dreadlocks.
Yes.
His power is that he can whip the dreadlocks around like Willow Smith.
Yeah.
Now, is that a power, or did he just tie knives into the ends of his dreadlocks?
I think
They
it's
stretch,
a power because they like
and they're like
stretch
prehensile,
and they
Yeah.
can like restrain.
So is
people.
he like Medusa? Does he have like prehensile
Ooh,
hair?
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's not snakes though.
But all I'm saying is like for a movie series where literally everybody is either white or blue, that's something
true.
else. I know that blue is like part of their costumes and part of the visual aesthetic of the movie, but you've decided to use 3 X-Men characters, all of which are blue.
like the same shade of blue too.
They have the exact same shade of blue.
But yet they have different powers
It's
from
a
each other.
Ronin Nebula problem.
Right.
Yeah, it's like,
exactly.
They're both blue. Shouldn't they be helping each other?
Right. Aren't they both Kree or
Now,
something?
that's not Benetton thinking.
Right,
But
right.
anyway, they take this one character. We never get a name. He's defined solely by his ethnicity, basically.
Yes.
And he uses his dreadlocks to fight with. Mm-hmm. That's problematic.
It is.
I think I thought of the example of, what if you had like an African-American guy with like short hair, like, LeBron hair or something like that. And then he goes, uh-oh, there's trouble. And he sticks his thumb in his mouth and goes, and an afro pops out.
Right.
Now he looks like Colin Kaepernick. And his
Right.
afro is bulletproof, and he can swing it around and hit people with it.
Yeah, that's also problematic.
That's like a character that Dwayne McDuffie would make as a joke.
right. Right.
But that's what you want to do.
Yeah, it seems like a poor choice.
Not great.
And not very creative.
Well, it's...
You could have come up with something better than that. That seems like a first pass.
Black
you know?
guy. What's
his
name?
power?
Black guy.
Right.
Yeah.
He's got dreads.
How'd you think the actors did?
Oh boy. I mean, I think they did okay. I think I like James McAvoy as Xavier and Michael Fassbender as Magneto. But I don't know. Jennifer Lawrence is. I think she's an okay actress. But
She's been over these films for pretty much all of these films.
yeah, and I just didn't really totally believe like the things that she said in this film, and she, are we doing spoilers yet or
No.
not? Okay.
You just really want to talk spoilers.
Sorry.
The sooner we get done with non-spoilers,
Yeah, all right.
you can have your dessert. So eat your peas.
She says something to Nicholas Hoult, that could be a huge change for both of them. And she doesn't seem like super earnest about it or like there's any urgency behind it. And it seems like something that needs urgency.
Yeah.
So I
She has
didn't.
an Oscar.
I know. I just didn't really believe her. And Nicholas Hoult, I don't
felt
know.
that he kind of woke up for this one a little bit.
A little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. Although they did direct him to now you're in beast mode, so you're just growling and like scraping at things.
Yeah, that's their interpretation of Hank
character,
McCoy,
which is
a guy
weird.
who is who is defined by the fact that he looks like a monster, and he's
Right.
like I sure love tea. You know, like he's not, oh, my stars and garters.
Yes.
He is not a monster.
No.
And sometimes they play with that. Joss Whedon did a thing where, because I think Joss Whedon's really creative, but he will never fail to give everybody something to do.
Mm-hmm.
And since Beast is a perfect character, in my opinion, already, he decided to give him a thing where Beast is... Actually, he was going off of Grant Morrison. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Just Enough Truck podcast. We talk about comics and movies, and sometimes we talk about comic movies, and the shows are 3 hours long.
Right.
But I'll try to get through this. Grant Morrison did a thing where he also wanted to give everybody something to do, and so he gave some mutants secondary mutations, where their mutation sort of like continued to advance or whatever. And so
Sure.
Hank's thing is he went from a guy who's just a guy who has big prehensile feet and like fangs, but otherwise looks like a human being.
Right.
And then he accident, genetic accident gone wrong, gave him blue fur.
Right.
Well, Grant Morrison tied that all into like he's got this like animalistic mutation that is like continuing, so he evolves into like a cat type beast.
Sure.
And that goes farther. He actually becomes like a weird bug-eyed beast later, but we won't even go into that. And so in that, we put on top of that, sometimes he loses his humanity and becomes more feral.
Well, that's an interesting choice.
Yeah, but they've never discussed that. They just skipped right to, guy's got hair. He's clearly a beast.
Right.
So yeah, instead of like doing like, if there's a problem with Gene, he'll solve it. Check out the lab while Hank is involved in it.
Right.
Like he would make some serum
Right.
or something to help the Phoenix, but instead he's just like, I have 4 PhDs.
Well, and
But
His
it gave Nick something to do.
I guess his instincts seem very basic in this. They don't seem as
Yeah,
evolved.
basic.
Yeah, they don't seem
Hashtag.
as. Yeah, exactly.
You beast basic.
Yes, they did not seem as evolved as they probably should be, seeing that he's an accomplished
I'm
scientist.
not a huge McAvoy fan, but I thought he was kind of bringing it in this one.
Yep.
I think he was doing okay. Mm-hmm. Fassbender's just, he's another guy who's just kind of there. I'm not saying he's the male Jennifer Lawrence, but he definitely can just go, okay, set myself to concerned look, and let's get through this.
Right.
Jessica Chastain?
Yeah.
What a waste.
You think it was a waste?
She's so talented.
She is.
And they made her a character who is like, I am a robot.
She's kind of blank.
Yes.
Yeah.
She went full Thor, though, and dyed her eyebrows.
Yeah, that's true.
She's very, very pale, sort of willowy. And then when you give her that, like, Edgar Winter hair and you bleach her eyebrows,
Right.
she just looks like... I mean, they were definitely like, they gave her, like... She's not an albino, but I think
Right.
that they were going for albino look, so they gave her, like, the sort of red-rimmed eyes and stuff like that. And she just looked really weird.
Right.
But, yeah, nothing going on as far as the character is concerned.
No. I think Sophie Turner did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I didn't think that she was like Oscar caliber,
No.
but I would have wanted to see where she took the character if these movies were going to go on, but we know they
Right.
are not, of course.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about at the end of this segment, in our spoiler section, what we think is coming up for the X-Men.
Yes.
Any last thoughts before we flip over into spoiler world?
I think the actress who did Storm, I think she did a good job too, but I mean, they didn't really give her a lot to do.
That's another one. She was Alexander Shipp. She was in Love, Simon too.
Yes.
Yeah, she's somebody else who it's like she's okay, but I'd like to see where she takes it.
Yeah,
But we never will.
I'd like to see more of a challenge for her.
We never will.
The kid who played Cyclops was just kind of there.
He's just a blank.
Yeah. So
Why
it
does
was a real mix.
Mads Mikkelsen can't play
Yeah.
a role without something happening to his eyes. His eyes getting effed up.
Yes.
Ty Sheridan's just going to wear a visor and everything that he does.
Right.
I guess.
Yep. Exactly.
Anyway,
And-
a lot of people had the powers to control things flying around, metal objects,
Yes.
whatever. The power to control masonry would be a great mutant power. Mm-hmm. Every time somebody gets knocked into something or they fall over, a shower of plaster fragments thrown from a shovel, but by a PA out of shot lands on
Right.
them. And I thought, what if there's a character that could take all those masonry bits and then shoot them at people?
Yeah.
We call him Stucco.
There you go.
Stucco, use your powers to help us. Thumbs up, thumbs down. recommend?
I'm going to do thumb at the side.
You can't do that.
I'm going to say a maybe. I'm going to say if you're a completionist, go see it. If not, maybe skip it.
If you're a self-flagellist, check it out.
Yes, exactly. What do you think?
I can't. I speak for myself.
Yes.
I'm that completionist, and I wanted to watch this series go out in quote-unquote style.
Yes.
And so I saw it. But I would not recommend this film.
Okay.
This is eminently missable.
Yes. I would agree with that.
All right, let's talk some spoilers.
Okay. So, like you said, Jennifer Lawrence has kind of been checked out of these films for a long time. And within the film, she even talks to Hank. This is what I was alluding to before about leaving the mansion, about not being a teacher for X-Men anymore.
You thought that was subtext for like, Nick, we're way better than this. You're Tolkien, man. We got to get out of this series. And Nick Holt's like, no, I'm going to finish this movie. And then later on, he's yelling at James McAvoy, and he's like, you smug son of a bitch. She tried to tell me to get out of this movie. Now I'm stuck wearing this makeup. Answer me!
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I didn't know what they were going to go off and do, but, they were going to...
Passengers, too.
Go be happy together, I guess.
Making different films.
Yeah, and that, as you know, did not happen because Jean Grey accidentally, kills Raymond.
Which, can I just point out, as far as this movie... So I felt like this movie overall betrayed the legacy of the earlier X-Men films.
Okay.
Because the whole point was, we all know in our hearts that we shouldn't discriminate against people and we should accept people for their differences. Mm-hmm. But the first two X-Men films live that and show us characters coming to that decision that they have worth as people. That's the button where the kid sticks his forked tongue out at Brian Cox, who's like, Wolverine! You're an animal. You'll always be an animal. I just wanted to use my Brian Cox as William Strecker impression. And that's always been what it is. The message of this movie is so muddled because it's treated as this huge tragedy that Raven dies. Yes. But her whole thing on her way out was, take care of yourself. Screw these people. It doesn't matter. And then she dies saying, we're a family. We take care of each other. Yes. Well, which is it, Raven?
Right.
You wanted to run out on the family.
That's very true.
And then Magneto's like, I don't want any part of this anymore. I don't want no part of that shit. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, he's like, well, we need to have a cool sequence where I murder just 300 people. So I'm in, everybody.
Right. Family.
I don't want to kill anymore. Let's get killing.
Right.
So it just betrays all that stuff. There's no beer in a kid's school. And one of those things is the fact that, do you remember the first X-Men? It doesn't matter. I'm asking the audience.
Vaguely. Yeah.
In that movie, Logan stops Mystique by stabbing her in the chest with 3 claws.
Right.
At the end of the movie, we find out that she's okay.
Yes.
Because she makes herself look like a cop or something like that, or a museum guard, and they presumably take her to the hospital and she's okay.
Right.
In this movie, she dies by getting stabbed with 3 things of wood in her chest, instantly dies.
And it looks like a claw.
Well, kind of.
Yeah.
So,
which is it?
Death by contract.
Yeah, I think that's
Death by, I don't want to be in this movie anymore.
I want to be in this movie as little as possible, so this is what's going to happen.
Yeah. In this movie, we are told that the X-Men are famous now. It's 1992.
Yes, and the president is calling upon them.
They have a hotline, too.
Yes.
Which is just get me the X-Men.
Right, exactly.
That's such a Superman 4 kind of thing where it's isn't your whole thing that you're hated and feared? Now, for this movie, you've decided we want to set up that we've gotten over that. And Charles Xavier is being feted at, dinners and things like that. Mm-hmm. And I guess his motivation is that he likes the fame and the attention. And his argument to Raven is strong, I think, that it's you call me an egomaniac, but it's better than us being hunted and feared.
Right. And I mean, there is truth to that.
Yeah. But otherwise, they set up out of nowhere Xavier as this egomaniac.
Yes.
Who, frankly, after 4 films is something of a degenerate still.
Yes.
He gets hammered and and like passes out on the couch.
Yeah, he
and
does.
They have him pointedly drinking in like many scenes. Like he
reaches for the hard liquor.
He is like dealing with something still, and it's like, we did that before. Aren't you like 70 years old now? I thought the idea is that you brought the X-Men to this point by conquering your demons, but now we need some demons back.
Apparently.
And I know that these demons are the fact that he basically lied to Jean about her parents being dead. Her father is still alive.
Right.
And my thing is like, okay, that's a very recognizable, understandable bit, but you didn't X-Men it at all.
What do you mean?
Why didn't you? So she meets... Oh, that's something else. Fox X-Men movies don't take characters seriously. They have characters that are two-dimensional and serve a function. They should all be named Device. Bob Device, June Device. Mm-hmm. And her father is one.
Yeah, he is.
Because the point of Catalyst for Jean is that she finds her real father. Turns out he was just as happy to have her not be in his life anymore.
Yes.
And so now we have another plot coupon for her to like get mad enough to attack the X-Men.
Yes.
But you didn't X-Men that storyline. And I know we want Charles to be blameless because ultimately near the end of the film, that's what brings Jean back from her evil ways, is that she reads Charles's mind and realizes that it was a tough decision, but he did it to protect her. And in his memories, it's clear that her father was just out. He was just done.
He's
a deadbeat dad.
Yeah.
Her father sucks.
Yes.
Charles is her real father.
Yes.
Let's get to the end of this film.
Right.
But it's an X-Men movie. So why not have the father be terrified because he's barely survived this car accident. Mm-hmm. Apparently in this world, her parents knew that she had sort of like fire starter abilities, but they didn't understand them.
And they didn't know what to do
So
with
why
them.
not have him be in the hospital terrified of his own daughter? We could see a scene where, oh, we brought your daughter, and he's like, no, get her away from me. It's like, whoa, he's had some kind of break, like we don't know what's going on. Have Charles come in and basically get him to a point where in a moment of weakness he agrees to give his daughter away, and then Charles wipes his memory.
Oh yeah,
with his powers,
that would have been cool.
So that he never remembered he had a daughter.
Right.
So that's Charles doing the right thing, but deserving the hate and the death of Raven because of this mistake that he made that is driving him in his older years to obliterate his mind with alcohol because he can't deal with the fact that he took a girl away from her father.
Right.
They put a nice spin on that in the film. Mm-hmm. So then Jean can go track down her real father, and he's like, I don't know who you are. Who are you?
Right.
She uses her powers to and dig into his mind and realize, you left me. And she misunderstands the moment. He's devastated because he now remembers, I gave my daughter, I've abandoned my child. Like he's given his daughter away.
Right.
All this is like emotional weight.
Right.
That the film doesn't have.
No.
Because it doesn't care. Because fight on a train.
Well, and
choo-choo.
And like you said, he really is
the father. Movie.
Really is like a device because
it doesn't matter.
As soon as Jean leaves, Jessica Chastain shows up and she just kills him.
Yeah, she kills him
just like that. And I mean, what was the point of you coming to visit him? Just to kill him? Are you just covering your bases and tying up loose ends? You're like, well, you're done now.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Also on the theme of like not respecting what's come before and like missing the point of the original films, there's a great scene in the first X-Men where Magneto has incapacitated the X-Men. They're trapped in the torch of the Statue of Liberty.
Right.
This is pre 9/11. We had different ideas about symbolism.
Yes. And
he comes in to gloat, and Cyclops is like, Storm, fry this guy's ass with a lightning bolt. And he's like, a lightning bolt in a copper structure? I thought you people lived in a school. Cut to the finale of Dark Phoenix. We're all on this metal train, good guys and bad guys. Storm, light them up. Woohoo! Zap, 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 zap.
I know.
Like, what? You guys just don't care.
No,
nobody cares about anything.
Nobody cares. There's nobody minding the store.
We never even... Simon Kinberg is minding the store.
Yeah.
We never even talked about Cody Smith-McPhee as Nightcrawler because the movie doesn't care. Like, his character is just so consequenceless. He never does anything. He's just there.
Except at the end.
But their version of Kurt Wagner... Now, Kurt Wagner in the comics is not a shrinking violet or a shrinking blue. He's Mr. Steal Your Girl. Like, he is a swashbuckling, like, suave, debonair, like, guy. And their interpretation is going off of Alan Cummings' admittedly good performance, but a performance of a guy who is afraid of who he is, you know?
Right.
And
which is very different.
so they have that in the 2 movies that he's been in. And at the end of this, he finally, like, finds his courage by grabbing a knife and just murking like 6 people.
And he also kills people with his tail.
He stabs somebody with his tail.
Yes.
Which, if he became like, ah, and he like reached into somebody's chest and ripped their heart out, you'd be like, oh
Yeah.
my God.
Right.
But his tail is like an appendage. It's an arm.
Yes.
And he stabs somebody in the throat with it.
I know.
It's like the same thing.
It is.
I thought that if they were going to make him go dark, he would go full Age of Apocalypse and just like, why not teleport somebody, but only part of them? So get on their shoulders, grab their head, and just teleport their head, but not their body. Done.
Yeah. Well, he does
In Extreme X-Men? I'm bad.
I don't
Extreme
know.
X-Force. In Uncanny X-Force, he teleports a shark into Blob, and the shark eats Blob from the inside.
Gross. That's really gross.
But the point is that Kurt Wagner is from a dark universe.
Right.
So in our universe, he's like, yeah, Fräulein, you know, but like when you see like this is how he could be.
Right. Well, and in this film, he does teleport one of the alien ladies in front of the train, and then he leaves her there, so she gets run over.
Yeah, the X-Men don't kill.
Yeah, well, they do in this.
That's why you have a Wolverine, because Wolverine will like
Go
stab
berserker.
6 guys,
Yeah.
and then Cyclops like, we don't do that, Logan.
Right.
We don't kill,
Right.
Unless it's the Brood. We do kill people that are infected with the Brood. That's a different situation.
We have exceptions to the rule.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Forest. 2 forests.
2 forests.
This time, Simon Kim was like, I'm going to do one better. Train ride through a forest.
I know.
That's how this X-Men movie is going to end.
Well, here's something I maybe you can help me understand. So after this force or whatever goes inside of Jean, they come back to Earth, and she's like, oh, I feel fine, whatever. And then Cyclops says, hey, the kids are calling you Phoenix. Why?
Because the movie's called Phoenix.
I know, but like, why did the kids name her Phoenix? And then at the end of the film, when she's fighting Jessica Chastain and she decides to take it to space, you see the energy or whatever, and it's in the form of a phoenix. Now, did Jean make that happen? Or because the kids named her that, then it just became a phoenix?
Nobody knows. Nobody cares.
I care. I want it to make sense.
Yeah, me too. Simon Kinberg doesn't know nor care. At this point, I think David S. Goyer could have done a better job with this.
Yeah,
than
I think
Simon
you're
Kinberg
probably
did, and
right.
I can't believe I'm saying that. There were many about that Phoenix thing and how
Yes.
convenient it is because, ding, that's the movie's title. There are a lot of lines in this film. We know that there were a lot of reshoots in this film.
Yes.
And apparently the train sequence, which seemed very intensive, like from an effects perspective.
Yeah, I think there's
apparently
a lot
that
going
was not
on.
the original. That was all reshoots.
Well, there was a lot of stunt work on that, I would imagine.
Yeah. So I don't know what it was going to be before. Apparently it was going to be in space before. I mean, the very end of it does end in space, but
Yeah.
I don't know if they were going to do like a blue area of the moon, like comic thing.
I have no idea.
Anyway, train in a forest. But there are a lot of elements to this film. Like there was one specific thing. Oh, that's right. So like okay. These are all going to be one point.
Okay.
You were saying like, oh, they're all disappearing, kind of dusty. That
Yeah,
seems
like
kind of
Infinity
familiar.
War.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got that. You have a very specific attack from Jessica Chastain's character, who's like, "Your emotions make you weak, Carol." I mean, Jean.
Right.
It's like that
I
was
know.
a big thing in Captain Marvel.
Yes.
Are they literally just ripping things off? Because
It kind of seems like it.
yeah, so they have this end, the train fight, and then the train crashes.
Yes.
And now they're fighting in a field of rubble with a clear space in the middle.
Yes.
Like the end of the last one.
Yep.
Like the end of the one before that.
Yep.
Like the end of every single movie. It's like that's all they know how to do.
I know. Also, one thing that I found confusing.
But
go ahead.
Sorry, the final point of that was there were a lot of just blatantly like 80-yard lines or reshoots
Yes.
to keep the story on track.
Yes.
So Jessica Chastain wants to take the power from Jean, and the
Yes.
Phoenix in this is not Jean's subconscious. It's a interstellar force represented by a cloud. What is it with you and clouds, Fox?
Yeah, I know.
You don't know what to make a thing, so it's a cloud. But anyway, it goes into Jean. She can kind of control it because she's already this super powerful mutant that phoenixed in the last film. But that was... Shouldn't they be calling her Phoenix because she killed Apocalypse by turning into like a big firebird?
I don't know.
Anyway, the original point. So Jessica Chastain can also take the juice. So now they're going to have a juice fight.
Yes.
But she can't take it all. So Phoenix is like, you want it? You got it. And she's just going to like blow her up with the power.
Right.
But people who are close to it, like Cyclops gets close and his hand starts to disappear.
Yes.
We understand what's happening. I get this. She already did that to Xavier in X-Men 3. She like dusted him basically. But there's a line that we never see Jessica Chastain's mouth move where she's like, if you destroy me, you'll destroy them. Yeah, I got it.
Right. Right.
I know, movie.
It's very heavy-handed.
Yeah.
Well, and just going off of what you just said, so Jean starts to give Jessica Chastain's character the juice like willingly, and then they're like, "Oh, it's gonna kill Jean. We gotta get her to separate," and then they separate, and so Jessica Chastain has some of the juice, but not all of the juice, and Jean has some of the juice, but she's still as powerful as she was before, and it just doesn't. It's not clear to me like how much juice either of them have.
Yeah.
And then like they fight each other over the juice at the end, and then she's able to overpower Jessica Chastain's character and just explodes them both.
Yeah, this movie wants to say that teamwork and family will get you through. That's the real power, but it's not. It's might makes right. Basically, it's just Jean is special. There's the kind of connecting VO like runner with like that name checks evolution, like evolution, mutation, like, you know, the first film. They keep trying to refer back to the first film, but they don't get what made the first film good.
No.
And so she's just the best because she was born that way, and, you know, she makes a lot of people go to sleep, but never tries to make the aliens go to sleep.
Right.
What if they all went to sleep?
Yeah.
Just go sleep.
Yeah.
It's dumb. I don't like this. Yeah, so it's like, I think if they're trying to set up these, like, yes, queen moments, but you're just like, yes, queen?
Yeah.
Maybe it should be called the X-Women.
Yeah. Thanks,
I hate
Jennifer
that-
Lawrence.
I both love and hate that studios are getting quote-unquote woke now.
Yeah, I know.
Because we're looking at a lot more moments like that
Yeah.
going forward.
Yes.
Sadly.
Yeah.
What a blessing.
What
a
is?
blessing that we live in a time where you can walk out of an X-Men movie and go, yeah, it wasn't that great. It used to be
Yeah.
good or bad. It's what we had.
Yeah.
I remember watching Batman and Robin and thinking, okay, all right. Then crying.
Do I have to
later
like
on,
this because
crying
it's a superhero
myself to
movie?
sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
Dazzler's in this. For who's got the mat on for Dazzler,
I know.
and who also realizes that that's not going to be a thing, and
Right.
so they don't really have Dazzler,
Right.
Because they keep trying to wedge her into these things,
Yes.
but not in any significant way. So
No.
why keep doing it?
I don't know.
Reportedly, they wanted Taylor Swift to play Dazzler in a like cameo in X-Men, the previous X-Men.
Oh, well, I guess that she probably would have had a bigger role if that were the case.
Yeah, I feel bad for Helston Sage, who we don't know why she left the Orville, but it might have been because, ooh, I've got an X-Men role, and
Yeah.
then literally no lines.
No, she just sings.
No, she doesn't.
Oh, she doesn't? She
just
lip syncs? Even better. So, yeah,
For
she's
this
just at a party.
rock and rave
Yeah.
at a junior high.
In a forest.
There's 3 forests.
Yes. Yes, there are.
Yeah, I wonder what this. Well, it wouldn't be any good, but I wonder what this would be like if it wasn't the movie, the lame duck X-Men movie.
Yeah, I know.
And there's a funny thing that has to be a reference, a joke, but at some point in all these movies, a bunch of guys with guns can somehow stop the X-Men,
Right.
show up to take out the X-Men. This movie loves the military more than the Transformers love the military.
Yeah, I know.
Shouldn't it just be no, you guys, no, you can't do this.
Yeah,
it's one thing if it's a bunch of kids who can't control their powers, but you're dealing with the 40-year-old X-Men.
Yes.
So anyway, a bunch of guys manage to capture them and take them away on this train. They're kidnapping the X-Men.
Yeah.
On their suits, MCU.
I know.
I'm sure it refers to the Mutant Control Unit or something, but I was like, the MCU is kidnapping the X-Men. I'm like, go faster, train. Go faster. Get to your destination. Quick.
I know. It's kind of funny. I mean, I hope that in our future we have some good X-Men movies from Marvel. That's what I hope.
Well, let's talk about that.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, first of all, I guess we already talked about recommend, but it's just, be honest, worth it?
Yeah.
I actually thought it was better than Apocalypse.
I kind of felt that way too.
And it's not long.
No, it's not.
It takes a while to get going. We criticize the fighting, but they're trying. There are some good. They actually get like Charles in there, so they're all like doing teamwork, and he's zapping somebody, and then Beast kicks him or whatever. And they, I saw some shades of some stuff. The train thing's okay.
Yeah, it was not bad.
I mean, this movie makes you excited about murder. I don't feel comfortable being excited about murder, but Magneto murders some people.
He does.
And it's pretty great.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, there were some parts where I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, never see this again.
Yeah, I know.
This is it.
Yep.
Drink it in.
Yep. Exactly.
You didn't give me your opinion that I asked for.
Oh, I say if you're a completionist, go see it.
You said that before.
I know.
Right.
Yep. That's just how I feel.
Get that power to control masonry. We're all set.
Right, exactly.
Chips of plaster. Plaster Man. Yeah, so presumably the X-Men will eventually appear.
Yes.
In the MCU.
Yes.
Once that train arrives at Disney headquarters.
Yes.
And I thought we would go over what we would like to see out of some future X-Men films.
Oh, okay. I guess I'd like to see a better story for Jean, because this is now their second attempt, and I don't.
I think Last Stand might be better than this.
Oh boy!
People say like, well, you just can't get the Dark Phoenix movie right. You can't, but I think Last Stand might be a better movie than this.
Oh boy! Okay.
I never thought I would say that.
I'm just saying.
Brett Ratner made a better movie.
Yeah,
than
I don't
Simon
know how
Kinberg.
I feel about that.
Yeah.
I think that I just think that they've been disappointing, and I think that it is one of, if not the most celebrated storylines in X-Men history.
Yeah.
And it's just a shame if you can't get it right.
Yeah, both movies have missed the idea that it's a story about dealing with your sort of dark impulses.
Right.
Like, they kind of have that in Last Stand, although Jean's always, in those movies, Jean's, an important member of the team. She's like a 40-year-old woman, so if you haven't figured it out by now. But there's like maybe something in her that is unchecked or something. And this one is literally Space Cloud drives you crazy.
Right,
so
right.
Jean's not responsible for anything.
No.
Also, she acts out a little because her whole life has been a lie.
Yes, her father's still
kind
alive.
of on her side.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, Jen, but maybe you needed to go. But the comic book one, and you have to kind of have a modern reading of it, because this was like, the early 80s or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's... Chris Claremont is a great writer who I think definitely, if he was allowed to, or was writing like books or something like that, he could do a lot of things, but it's a comic book for kids. So he has to sort of couch things in certain terms or not explore things fully. But in the original Dark Phoenix storyline, Jean has got a pretty good life. She's, always been sort of the weakest, the strongest, but the weakest. She was the girl on the X-Men.
Right.
So a lot of getting coffee and stuff like that.
Mm.
And now she's got this life where, later on, they're not the teens anymore. The New Mutants are the teens.
Right.
And so they are in their 20s, and she's going to get married to Cyclops, and you get the feeling that this is, right at the time of women's liberation and stuff like that, and maybe she's questioning if she's gotten the full life that she wants to live. Mm-hmm. And you've got Mastermind, who controls her by showing her these visions in which she's having this Victorian sort of sweeping romance life, a pirate. She's a pirate or something like that. And she never says out loud, like, I'm tired of having sex with Scott.
Right.
But you get the idea that, like, yeah, you take a woman and you repress her for a long time. Maybe she's going to want something more.
Right.
And maybe it's subconscious and she can't admit it to herself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always there. Then you infect her with this amazing, incredible power.
Right.
Which does have a mind of its own and has a destructive urge to it. You combine those two things and now it's like, the sexist way to look at it is hell hath no fury.
Right.
But the sort of modern way to look at it is you keep this woman down for all these years and then suddenly you give her a bazooka that could blow up the world. What's going to happen?
Right.
And that sort of comes out. And of course she has a redemptive end because she sacrifices herself, to save everyone. But that's kind of like what it explores.
Right.
And so the problem is that you have to lay the groundwork for that in previous movies.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's just Jean's like, yeah, I'm fun. I'm just an X-Man. Yep, oh no, a cloud. Kill everyone.
Right.
It's not motivated at all.
No, it's not.
So I agree with you in that. I would like to see more for Jean, simply because it's good to have a three-dimensional rounded character.
Yes.
But also because if you lay those little frustrations, in, it makes more sense when suddenly she's given like unlimited power.
Yeah,
and
I
doesn't
agree.
know what to do with it.
Yeah.
I would like to see the High Evolutionary.
Okay.
We talked about this before, but he's a really important character to a lot of other characters and settings in the Marvel Universe, but he's never had the cachet of a Kang or a Doctor Doom or the big name villains, and he ties in very closely to the Avengers and the X-Men. He's actually like a good bridge character, I think. We know the Avengers in the MCU. We don't know the X-Men yet. So, yeah, clearly we're going to do a Magneto thing.
Right.
But, yeah, I say set up the High Evolutionary. We need something going forward, and I think that he could be really important. Plus, his whole thing is like evolution, mutation.
Sure. Absolutely. I would like to see more of Kitty Pryde because she's one of my favorite X-Men characters. And I think that she was underutilized, and I think it was the last film, and just does not show up again.
Days of Future Past.
Well, yeah, Days of Future Past. But I think she's a very interesting character, and I know when Joss Whedon did his run of X-Men, she was the kind of like protagonist for that. But I think she, her being able to phase through things and everything, it's an interesting power, but she has a lot of insecurities as well, and then like kind of exploring her.
Not really.
Oh, you don't think so?
Okay, yeah, she does because she's young and she's surrounded by like these amazing mutants who have
Right.
trained since they were her age,
Right.
to be good at what they do. But she's a little firebrand.
She's feisty, yeah.
Boy, when she learns the N-word, watch out.
What?
There's you don't know about this?
I don't think I do.
So the metaphor of the X-Men has always been, and Stan Lee's like, oh, I always meant to do this, but like in 1963 or whatever, you weren't really going to like pre-civil rights movement. You weren't going to say like, these mutants represent black people. Like you weren't,
Right.
You kind of retconned that a little bit, although that might have been on your mind when you and Kirby created them. But once the 80s roll around, and we've already been through like the civil rights movement and like the protest movement and everything, Claremont steps up and goes, well, what are we doing? Let's just make this metaphor manifest. And so the X-Men get involved in a lot of, sort of racial issues and crises, and like the metaphor becomes more manifest about it. And there's a couple different issues where they end up speaking out for the rights of mutants, but also blacks and other races and stuff like that. And Kitty's like makes a few impassioned speeches about how like, you call us a mutie, but you're discriminating against us. Well, would you call us a WAP or a K word for Jews or an N word for black people? Only she didn't say K word. She didn't say.
Oh,
but apparently
my
it's okay to say
goodness.
WAP. I apologize to Italians. And she
Wow.
means it. But it's like I think it's perfect. It's like this thing that like a young, socially conscious 17-year-old Twitter user would do, but then get like blocked for a month because they use the N-word.
Right. That's so weird. Okay. That weirds me out a little
Well,
bit.
I shouldn't have said anything because that brought you to a halt.
She's still like one of my favorite characters. I'm going to say regardless of that.
But it's her passion that inspired it.
Right.
She's serious about this stuff.
Well, and I'd like to see more too about her kind of on again, off again relationship with Colossus, because I think that's kind of interesting as well.
I would like to eliminate the problematic aspects of that.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. But yeah.
Because she's not legal.
Oh, right. Yeah, I would like to work on that as well.
Give you my take.
Okay.
We need to find an Emma Watson for this.
Sure.
Let me tell you what I mean. We need to find a kid actor who's great as a kid and will grow up, because we're going to do another 10 years of these, and will grow up to be a great young adult actor.
Right.
That way we start her off, not too young, but start off 15, 16, and we go full Logan protege. Mm-hmm. So you've got like a Wolverine and Kitty Pryde, maybe a movie you can do.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Why
is this guy hanging out with a kid? They are very talented writers. They'll figure it out.
Right.
And then eventually she can become full-fledged member of the team. Kitty Pryde, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. would be really great. I'm still mad that they didn't have Kitty Pryde, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
right
on the S.H.I.E.L.D. show.
Yeah. What about the actress who's on Stranger Things playing Kitty Pryde?
Yeah.
No,
I'm tired of her.
Oh, okay. All right. Never mind then.
Although probably a good pick, though.
Okay.
I would like to see the Australian saga.
Okay.
When the X-Men go to Australia.
Okay.
Maybe this is your second movie. Maybe this is your third movie, depending on how far you want to go. Ooh, there you go. Okay. I want the whole deal. I want them fighting. I want Forge. I don't know. He can't be a non-vet at this point because he'd be a million years old. So just say, I don't know. Ooh, you could change it. Well, is this racist?
I don't know.
Is this racist?
I don't know.
What if he, instead of, no, because he's still doing Native American shamanistic stuff. So anyway, I want Forge. I want him to be part sorcerer. You get the adversary, which is a demon. Oh, that means you get like Roma and Merlin too, and Captain Britain, and you get the whole Marvel multiverse thing going on. Okay. But anyway, the X-Men all die or appear to die destroying this demon adversary in Dallas. And then they decide, we're pretty hot right now. Like, everybody's after us. So let's pretend we're dead. We'll move to Australia and live in the outback. And a weird guy named Gateway will create portals to send us places when we need to go there.
Okay.
And then you've got just a bunch of weird adventures. So that's when the Dark Phoenix thing starts boiling over. That's when they meet Jubilee. That's when they really start messing around with the Reavers. And I want to see the Reavers. I just want them to go to the comic books like they did with, like MCU did with the Avengers.
Right.
Just looking at the comic books. Because we didn't even talk about this, but the Dabari, the aliens that Jessica Chastain is, are from the comics. But it is so, it's very sideline to any real thing.
Right.
They have two claims to fame. They were in issue number 3 of the Avengers. Mm-hmm. And they were in the first issue of the Dark Phoenix. They are the planet that Jean Grey destroys,
right, and
murders their entire race, and kind of gets like the Shi'ar onto her. They're not important in any way,
no,
except just as cinders that the Phoenix creates. And I wonder how I guess that's it. They're X-Men characters, but they first appeared in Avengers. Mm-hmm. So how did Fox even get away with using them?
I don't know. Maybe it's something that they changed in reshoots, like you suggested.
This is okay. So anyway, good wants. Good looking forward. We'll stop that now and then give our crackpot theory and then get out of here.
Okay.
I think Jessica Chastain was supposed to be a Skrull.
Yeah, I kind of like the aliens kind of had a Skrull feel about them.
Yeah,
like they were shapeshifters.
Yeah.
So I get that, and they were wrinkly too.
They weren't going to be bird people, although that would have been cool.
Mm-hmm.
Wrinkly. They weren't that wrinkly.
I guess.
This was being made concurrently with MCU films,
mm-hmm.
and a lot of it was reshot.
Yes.
And a lot of it was ADR'd.
Mm-hmm.
So who cares if they're the Debari or whatever.
Right.
Why reach for that? Also, I think it's arguable as to who owns that. Crackpot theory was that was a consolation. I doubt that the X-Men Fox people even know about the Debari, even care that much. But we know that the MCU writers do know their history. And so in a last stab at relevance, Fox creates a movie that they don't. Their Fantastic Four keeps failing, but they still own the Skrulls because of Fantastic Four. So they think intergalactic bad guys, the Skrulls, they shapeshift, come down, turn themselves into people like Jessica Chastain, and then the talks start to get more real in between Marvel and Fox, and they're like, so we're doing this thing with the Skrulls, and Marvel's like, whoa, no, we've got a movie coming out pretty soon that uses the Skrulls.
Right.
So tell you what, this deal's going to happen. You guys will give you the Debari, change everything to the Debari. It won't be Skrulls anymore, and then you can have your last film. And at this point, maybe the deal's not finalized, but it's like you guys can still. We won't try to take your money for making that film.
Right.
But then it worked out that that's the way it went anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Absolutely.
Plausible enough to be real.
Yeah, I would agree with you. It's disappointing, I would say.
Many things are disappointing.
Yeah, I know. Especially about this film.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Yeah. Could have been better. So
Who's Wolverine? Cast.
Oh, jeez.
Who's Cyclops? Who's Jean?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I'm terrible at casting things. Who would be a good Wolverine? I've heard a lot of people like rallying behind Danny DeVito to be Wolverine, which is just kind of silly to
Guys,
me.
if the short is all that matters to you,
right?
Daniel Radcliffe.
Okay, sure. I could kind of see it.
The kid's got range.
He does.
You pack 80 pounds, give that guy some HGH.
Yeah, right.
You've got Wolverine.
Sure. Okay.
And pitch his voice down.
Yeah, right.
In post.
Yeah.
I'm the best there is at what I do. Maybe not. Gonna work too good.
Oh my goodness.
I say, mess it up beyond what I can understand. I trust you guys at this point. Don't just give me a bunch of white kids. Just F it up all the way.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Cyclops is African American.
Yeah.
Make Jean, an Indian woman, real Indian, not Native American or Native American. I don't care.
Right.
Mess it up. Give us what Stanley definitely would have done if he had thought of it at the time.
No, I agree with you. I think that's a good idea.
What I do isn't very nice. So that's it. We did it. It's been done.
Mm-hmm.
That is the end of our review, such as it is, of Dark Phoenix.
Yes.
And the end of our sort of ad hoc show.
Yeah.
I think it's gone pretty good.
I think so too.
You got closer and then more far away from your mic as the show went on.
Oh boy.
But that's okay.
Okay.
I'm
Sorry
doing
about that.
handheld, so you're probably hearing a lot of me grabbing up on the mic. But otherwise, that went pretty good. So
yeah. Our gorilla show went pretty well.
He's a beast, Diane. That was the thing. He was always a gorilla.
Yes.
He's basically a gorilla man. Yeah. He's got the feet, and he's really big. He's a nerd with a PhD who plays football. That's pretty cool.
Right, yeah. I know.
Oh, good. Anyway, man, looking forward to hopefully better movies in the future.
Me
and hopefully
too.
better shows in the future.
Yes.
Our technical issues will knock be ironed out by the next show.
I
so
hope
you
so.
don't have to worry about that. We'll be back with all the news that's fit to cast in the world of nerdy entertainment and looks at some pretty cool stuff. What's coming up on the show?
I think we are going to be talking about the HBO miniseries Chernobyl.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Chernobyl.
It's
16,000 Runkins. There's no graphite on the roof. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yes. Let's see. What else are we going to be talking about? I know there's something else that we're going to be talking about.
See, you remember, and I don't, which is why I threw it to you. I know we're talking about Spider-Man. That's July 4th weekend.
Yes. I feel like there was something else that we were going to be talking
Well,
about.
if you remember
what Legion comes back.
Oh, that's right.
In June
Yes.
sometime.
So, speaking of X-Men,
Yeah.
going to be more of that stuff.
Yeah.
A little bit later. Until then, you can find us on social media by going to Facebook and looking for Just Enough Trope, and Twitter as well at Just Enough Trope. You can find our show, Gorilla or No, on all your platforms, listening platforms of choice. Join us as we navigate along with you this new adventurous world of no more iTunes, I guess.
Yeah,
But
I don't know
whatever
what you do.
form Apple Podcasts takes in the future, we will be there on it. So look for us. Subscribe to the show, because that's how you get the show. When it comes out, it's all ready to go. I'm not trying to rhyme, but I do it all the time. And also, we give us a review. We'd appreciate that.
Yes.
Because we need to know how you think we're doing. Give us suggestions on social media, what we should cover in the future. Got a couple ideas for some long-form shows. Time. Clearly, they're all too long. But I mean, more of those sort of like deep dives into the tropes and sort of exegesis of the pop culture universe.
Yes.
So we'll be working on that in the future. Give us a rating. That's probably the most important thing that we need from you. We need to know how you think we're doing. And that's how we get the feedback. That's how the algorithm knows.
Right.
Hey, give these guys a little more juice here.
Yes.
Get these guys out to some more people.
Yeah.
They're doing a good job.
Absolutely.
So, to that end, give us 5 just completely breakaway bottles of whiskey. There's a scene, it's in the trailer, where
Yes.
Hank is confronting Xavier, and Xavier is having his Maker's Mark or whatever.
Right.
And then Hank does the just cliche thing that's it. This movie, there's a space shuttle's got a problem, and they literally say, Houston, we have a problem. And it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? But anyway, there's that super cliched thing where he's like, tell me! And he like
breaks
smashes
the
the
glass.
thing. But
Yeah.
he doesn't knock the bottle off the table and it like hits the floor. The bottle just disintegrates.
I know.
Which means that it was never a real bottle. It was like sugar glass or whatever.
Right, yes.
But I guess you could like explain it as, Hank is much more strong than the average skinny Tolkien actor.
Right,
So maybe
right.
that he just atomized the bottle by hitting it that hard or something like that. But
Yes.
it just it's cheap, just like
It is.
just like everything else in the
Yeah,
film.
absolutely.
It's really cheap.
It's very cheap.
No, but I need to talk to the president. This line will be closed from now on.
Hang up.
Dumb. Hang up on the human atom bombs, basically.
Yeah.
But they do. So anyway, forget all that. Give us 5 stars, I guess,
That's
instead,
right.
and we'll appreciate it. Yeah, we'll be back next week to talk about Chernobyl.
Yes.
And until then, we're signing off. I'm your host, Caliban.
I'm your co-host, Mikan
Keep
Hana.
the geek fires burning.